Good morning. Good morning. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Greater Naples. There's a woman in green in the back talking. I don't know what... Can you hear me okay? How about now? How about now? Oh, geez. Daniel will work on it. I think that's it. There we go. All right, thank you. Good morning again, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Association, the Congregation of Greater Naples. My name is Tony Fisher. I serve this congregation as minister. For those of you who've come to us recently over the summer and haven't seen me and wonder who I was to begin with, and I have been away sporadically over the summer. So I'm grateful to be back for good, as people say, and happy to be among you this morning. Often on Sunday mornings, I take this opportunity to thank a particular group of people in the congregation that are doing good work. And today what I want to do is honor those people that I don't know are doing something. And there are a lot of you that come in and do the work and get something done or create something or clean something up, and I am not aware and don't have a chance then to thank you in person. So today I want to thank those unsung, unseen heroes of the congregation who get the work done here. Thank you all very much. And Catherine is not unseen or unsung necessarily, but I'm grateful she's here too, and as our worship associate today.
Well, it's August 20th, and the school children of Collier County have already been back to school for a week, and the Halloween decorations are in the stores. We are so glad you have joined us in person or online, in real time or later at a time of your choosing. Wow. Imagine what your reaction would have been if I had said that not too many years ago. The World Wide Web, that's hard to say, has launched into the public domain just about 30 years ago, and YouTube and Facebook were launched less than 20 years ago, and our filming of services with Dan back there has only been posted online for consumption for about 3 years. So if you had heard me say, we're glad you've joined us in person or online, not too long ago, you wouldn't have known what in the world I was referring to. Back when I was finishing high school, Bob Dylan wrote, "The times they are a-changin'." I had no idea that someday in my lifetime I'd be saying something like, "Check us out on our website." But in the face of change, perhaps it's more important than ever to say, as we do every Sunday, we are a welcoming congregation, freely seeking intellectual and spiritual growth. We strive to create a larger community of peace, justice, and love. And now let's take a deep breath and settle ourselves into this time of worship with the morning's prelude.
Bright morning stars are rising. Bright morning stars are rising. Bright morning stars are rising. Day is a-breaking in my soul. Oh, where are our dear mothers? Oh, where are our dear mothers? They are so seeds of gladness. Day is a breaking in my soul. Oh, where are our dear fathers? Oh, where are our dear fathers? They are in the fields a plowing. Day is a breaking in my soul. Bright morning stars are rising. Bright morning stars are rising. Bright morning stars are rising. Day is a breaking in my soul.
Our eyes open, and even though we may protest, our brains begin analyzing the information that flows through our senses. If you're like me, you somehow know what time it is within a few minutes. The internal clock being confirmed by the degree of light or whichever senses are more acute for you as you wake. It's morning. If you can, you roll over and return to the world of dreams. But again, if you're like me, the day has begun. And that same brain, without being asked, has begun to push forward to all the things that need to happen before the head hits the pillow again at the end of the day. This morning, for those of you who are here, the thought of August worship at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Greater Naples came into consciousness fairly early, and the notion of coming into fellowship with friends, old and new, spurred you on to follow the steps needed to get yourself here. So, let's celebrate our joint success in arriving safe and to whatever degree of soundness we could claim, and join together in the chalice lighting response that you'll see on the screen. In the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment, we gather this day. May the flame we now kindle be to us a symbol of the unity we seek. And let's rise and join together in singing our opening hymn, number 360 in the gray hymnal. The words will be on the screen. Here we have gathered.
Here we have gathered side by side, circle of kinship, come and step inside. May all who seek here find a kindly word. May all who speak here feel they have been heard. Sing now together this our heart's own song. Here celebrate. Days of our lifetime, matters small and great. We of all ages, women, children, men, infants and sages, sharing what we can, sing now together this our heart's own song. Life has its battles, sorrows and regret, but in the shadows let us not forget. We who now gather know each other's pain. Kindness can heal us. As we give, we gain. Sing now in friendship this our heart's own song.
Please be seated. I had been standing at my living room sliding glass doors for some time, gazing out over lake for quite some time, when all of a sudden a streak of black and white came down from overhead, touched the pond, and flew up into a branch across the way. An osprey had missed its prey. Thank goodness, I guess. Ospreys have to eat just like the rest of us. But in that moment, I was awakened again, because I had been thinking, or I had my gazing out there, but not seeing anything. My brain was somewhere in the future. So waking up for the second time made me think about how much time I spend in the future. Now, I know probably none of you are quite like that. But I did. I took in a deep, deep breath and let it out and just saw again what was in front of me. A new world, a new day, fresh with possibility. I note this is only true for those who take the time to do that, to take the breath, to take the moment, to realize where they are, what's happening in any given moment. But usually, as I said in our opening, once you open your eyes, your mind is already working. Or let me personalize that. Once I open my eyes, my mind is already working towards all the things that I have to do, and the routines kick in and carry me through until the time that I'm sitting at my desk, sometimes not remembering how I got there. This idea of pausing on the edge of the new day is not something that's the first time anybody's had this revelation, obviously. But once we do take that breath and let our senses sort of settle in the moment and become truly aware of the world around us, we gain that perspective that tells us we are part of something greater than ourselves, that there is something more to our individual days and concerns. And that awareness alone can have such a profound influence on the way we experience our daily lives. At the company I worked before I decided to go back to school to become a minister, there was a coworker that I truly admired. She somehow managed to be very organized and efficient while always keeping things in perspective and staying very human and approachable. Outwardly, at least, she seemed to have mastered the stresses that were, and I suppose still are, inherent in the publishing world, something I escaped for something else. I wasn't sure how she did it. Perhaps she went home and meditated for hours, or perhaps she took all her aggressions out on the commute each way. Whatever she did, however she did it, worked. And she served as my model for not getting caught up, as one author has put it, in the thick of thin things. They say God is in the details. But if that's true, then I would say the devil is in the details as well, and equally present, and in fact wins out more times than not. And we can get all wrapped up in the fret and fever of the day. But what we do, each one of us, on a daily basis, whether it's at home, caretaking, at an office, in the community, volunteering within this community, how we do our work, being aware of how we do our work is just as important as what we do. There are so many ways we can get sidetracked and tied up in knots over some small thing, some encounter we have, that it's sometimes lost on us that there's a far greater number of opportunities in each day to find the perspective we need to act and do what we do with love and kindness. You may have heard this before, but my dad used to talk about that critical moment, sometimes infinitely short, in which we can find our humanity. In that moment between the stimulus and the response, the split second between what the world throws at us and how we react. If we can somehow be grounded in the flight of a bird, or by the example of a fellow human being, or by the humility that comes with knowing we are not the center of the universe, then those moments, however quickly they come, can be turned into opportunities to let that inner light shine. Let's remain seated and join together in singing our centering hymn, From All the Fret and Fever of the Day.
From all the fret and fever of the day, let there be moments when we turn away, and deaf to all confusing outer din, intently listening for the voice within. In quietness and solitude we find the soundless wisdom of the deeper mind. With clear, harmonious purpose, let us then bring richer meaning to the world again.
Being away from this congregation, I don't get to hear your sharing each week, and that's something that I miss. This is a time in our week, in our time together, that we have that opportunity to share deeply of ourselves, those things that bring us joy and those things that are troubling us, concerns we have. If you have a personal joy or sorrow that you'd like to share this morning, please let me know by raising your hand. I'll bring you the microphone. If you can, then tell us your name and briefly what's in your heart. I'll start this morning by sharing some unfortunate news that Suzanne Hannafel has had a fall. Suzanne is a seasonal member of the congregation, and she and her husband Paul are great benefactors of this congregation. She was recovering from hip surgery and doing really well when she fell and broke a couple of bones, and so she's in recovery. As she say, looking forward to getting back to the recovery. But our hearts and our minds go to Suzanne this morning and to Paul, who she says is working overtime and taking care. joys and sorrows. So if you have a joy or a sorrow, please let me know. Raise your hand.
Hi, I'm Joan Leary. Last week we didn't mention Maui, and my son lives in Hawaii, so I want to make mention of Maui and their needs. You can check Charity Navigator, which gives the ratings of the best places to donate.
Okay, thanks, Joan.
Good morning. My name is Ray Eddy, and I have a sadness. Last night at 9:30, a very, very good friend passed away, leaving a very, very painful body behind.
Thanks, Ray.
I'm Patsy Sachs, and I just wanted to say today is my husband's birthday.
Happy birthday, Chris. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Catherine Cunningham. Last week I shared through Tony and through Skip that our son had a significant heart issue. It was very scary. And today I just want to share our joy that he's better. So thank you all for your support. He's home and went to school on time on Wednesday, and we're so grateful. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, my name is Eugene. I have a very close friend who is 90, and he's had a free lunch until now. He's no cavities, straight up, and nothing's wrong. And somehow at 90, it's untoward, a heart problem. But of course, he had a free lunch up to now. He doesn't understand this. So the adaptation is very, very hard. So it's not from the heart problem, it's the reaction to the heart problem. Not sleeping, not eating, etc., etc. So I suggested what was referred to yesterday as confession, but confession also means, in today's times, therapy. Try some therapy. And he was open to that. So there's hope.
Thanks, Eugene.
Good morning. My name is Jane Ellsworth, and I want to make sure that all of you know to get your hands on the Naples Daily News this morning and check the perspective area. On the front page of that has been written by a member, and she's right here now. And the next page over, another letter there by another member. So get them and then give them to your neighbors and make sure that everybody you know has read those two. They're wonderful.
Thank you, Jane. Anyone else?
Good morning. My name is Maria Bibi. My husband James and I have been UU members for half of our lifetime. First in Corvallis, and then Washington, D.C., South Africa, Spokane, Washington, Portland, Oregon, and finally Big Island in Hawaii. It was during our time in Spokane when James, who was then a professor at Gonzaga University, heeded the call. He said it wasn't a calling, but more like a whisper to become a UU minister. So during the next 5 summers, he would go during the winter to Mid-Lombard Theological Seminary, brave the harsh winter, do his studies, finish his master's. But then he never did make it to the final phase of his journey during that time. So Today we are here in Naples, and James sadly is in assisted living. So last week we heard about the books that were donated. So I go, wow, James has books sitting in our library. So I called them yesterday and found about 100 books. So that's part of the joy. And I hope you enjoy his books. They range from Buddhism to Taoism to Sufism to all kinds, UU, and so on.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Martin, and I wanted to comment on an earlier comment about this morning's paper and the great editorial piece. What I noticed, more than the wonderful thinking, Jean, what I noticed was that the writer of the piece lives her values out loud, because she also said that she is a member of UUCGN, and that's in the paper. It's good thinking, and it's good for all of us.
You passed your wife up.
Okay. Is she waving her hand?
And was raising her hand
okay,
to you.
Okay, sorry. Do you have something? Okay,
No, I should take it over to her. But anyway, I want to thank the UUC because I do have a joy. Vincent Keys is my name. Joanne, thank you so very much for putting the note out. And I especially want to thank Tony Fisher for our long, hard battle in the city, who finally recognizes and supports affordable housing and finally voted to put the funds into the budget. And so thank you so very much. Thank you, UUC.
All right. Thanks. Do you have something? No, I was going to say what Vincent said. Okay.
This is apropos to the lady who just talked about the books, and thank you for being here, and thank you for giving the books. I also wanted to mention, the book, though the library is in honor of my husband and his 500 books that are there now, but we also got a very wonderful donation from David Dobler from his family. I wasn't aware of how many books he had. He was connected with my husband in their love of Buddhism. So I have filed like another 150 books. And so if we have another 100, we're almost going to run out, even without Tony's books being added. So it's just kind of grown like Topsy. But thank you, my dear lady, for bringing you your books.
Good morning. My name is George. Since Vincent already said a little bit about it, I'm going to spin it just a little bit different way. I'm a new member, and I am so filled with joy that I'm a member of this congregation because it lives its values. I happened to be at City Hall that last week on Thursday. I had to be there because I'm a member of an advisory committee to the City Council, which was sitting as a CRA on Thursday. And as I arrived there, I looked around in the crowd, and more than half of the people sitting in the audience were UU members. And I had no idea why they were there because Vincent actually wasn't there. But there was Reverend Fisher, so I went and asked him, well, why are you all here? And he explained to me why, and I said, oh my gosh. And so I gave my little report early on in the meeting, and I stayed to hear what they had to say. And I will tell you that this group of folks share their values every single day in different ways, I know, but that was just so heartwarming to see happen.
Thanks, George.
Hello, everyone. My name is Adam Benz. You may not know me. I am Joan Benz's son. I am in the Foreign Service, so I just spent 4 years, my husband and I, in Belize, and we're going to Turkey next. And I have to say that we always love to come back here and visit my mom, partly because we like to go to this church. You may not know us, but this church is special to us because Tony's the person that married my husband and I 8 years ago. And I want to thank you for giving us the best day of our life.
8 years ago, really? Oh, that's awesome. What a wonderful expression of joy, of sadness, of congregational values, of sharing. Thank you. Thank you. Let's join together in the spirit of meditation. Grateful for all that has been shared, we acknowledge that much has been left unsaid in the depths of some hearts. And so we honor the bubbling joy, the gladness of friends new and old, well met, the ache of anxiety, the dullness of depression, the pain of loss. All these are present here in this room. Spirit of life, one by one we come through the doors of this congregation seeking something greater than ourselves. We sit shoulder to shoulder in this beautiful place, a place where we come not only to witness the unfolding of life, celebrations of dedication, of welcome, of union, of parting, and of death, but also to encounter ourselves in the context of all those things and the flow of our daily life. Our hopes and our uncertainties, our choices, our successes, our failings, those things we share and those things we keep close. In the company of these fellow travelers, let us hold this moment of silence as an opportunity to breathe deeply and find a stillness within this flow, a calm center in which we can rediscover our true selves and our right relationship with the people and the world around us.
Tony introduced me to a poem this week as we were preparing for the Sunday service. And it stirred something in me. And it kept coming back and back into my brain. And I'm grateful to Tony, as I often am, for sending me something that is thought-provoking. And I find this morning that I'm going to be Tony's echo, because I appreciate so much what he is bringing to our attention this morning. The poem that he sent me is titled, What to Remember When Waking. It begins, in that first hardly noticed moment to which you wake, coming back to this life from the other, more secret, movable, and frighteningly honest world where everything began, there is a small opening into the new day, which closes the moment you begin your plans. A few minutes ago, Tony referred to the idea of pausing on the edge of the new day to gain perspective. That is particularly important to a person like me, a driven type who lives by 2 carefully tended calendars, one paper and one electronic, just to be sure. If you were here last week, you heard the wonderful humility with which Skip Lundberg explored the topic of confession to open himself to us. He described his ongoing journey to grow more and more toward actions that demonstrate his convictions. That's one of the beauties of gathering here at UU. We get to hear and share heartfelt honesty with one another and discover anew that our foibles, our proclivities, and our fears aren't ours alone. My confession to you today, although I wholeheartedly agree that, as Tony said, we get all wrapped up in the fret and fever of the day, I do it almost every day of my life. I have the intention of viewing each new day as ripe with possibility, but I fall into morning routines that work against the awakening of opportunities. I have my cell phone in my hand within minutes of turning on the tea kettle, and I start reading the daily newspaper as soon as I pick it up from the driveway. I double-check my calendars to reassure myself, yes, I'm a busy person with things to take care of. So back to the poem, What to Remember When Waking. The poet, David Whyte, continues the poem with 2 stanzas that stopped me in my tracks when I first read them. He says, what you plan is too small for you to live. What you can live wholeheartedly will make plans enough for the vitality hidden in your sleep. What you can plan is too small for you to live? Yipes. All my calendar dates keep me in a pre-planned routine that is recognizable and safe, protecting me from much exposure to bigger awareness and keep me sidetracked into smaller things. Because the world seems to be getting scarier and scarier, I stay in my routines to protect myself. The shame of that is that it often prevents me from living wholeheartedly, as David Whyte suggests, meaning that I often start the day without the grounding I need to go about my daily events and pay more attention to the how rather than the what I do. I've promised myself to honor the gift of that first awakening to a new day many times. But intentions are often hard to keep. Perhaps my confession to you this morning will help.
Some of you may have recognized that tune if you've been around Unitarian Universalist congregations for any length of time. The tune by Alfred Morton Smith is a beautiful one that evokes the idea of chant, and I thank you both for an incredible arrangement of the piece. The hymn is number 164 in our hymnal, and I've loved it since the first time I heard it many, many years ago. In the previous hymnal, before the one we use today, before they started using the first lines to name the hymns, the title of the hymn was The People's Peace. This is a bit hard to describe, but the hymn has a way of catching me off guard. It's as if the words and the music combine to create something that works on my soul in different ways each time I hear it or sing it. There isn't a particular turn of phrase or a musical line that does it, but somewhere in the 3 short verses, there will be something that touches a tender spot within. Of course, in coming to a place like this, we put ourselves in a position to be affected by the spoken word or by some string of music, a stirring anthem, a hymn. We open ourselves up to something greater, and so perhaps we are more easily moved to empathy or emotion. The world out there sometimes forces us to bring up the self-protective barriers. We've all been hurt at some point by someone or something. We carry our fears and anxieties around with us all the time, but we hide those from one another and the world behind self-constructed facades. And we proceed often with caution. The trouble is that it's hard to live in the moment when you're working so hard to keep the protective gear in good order. Living in the moment away from here takes a lot of effort, a willingness to go forth less encumbered by walls and facades. It's somewhat like meditating, if you've ever done that. You have to keep reminding yourself to let the thoughts go, the thoughts of self-protection, of concern, of fear. The idea that you want to jump ahead to the next thing you're going to say or the next meeting, the next task or errand. All the things you know you may not get to. The hymn talks about things too simple to be tried as truth. These are the things I see as our reminders, the things that allow us to come back to the moment. The light upon the soft white tablecloth, a flash of black and white outside the living room window. We are, as I said, presented with an infinite number of reminders every day. We only need to see them. Let's remain seated again and sing A Peace Not Past Our Understanding. It's hymn number 164. The words will be on the screen. The peace not past our
understanding falls, like light upon the soft white tablecloth, at winter supper warm between 4 walls, a thing too simple to be tried as truth. Not scholars calm nor gift of church or state, nor everlasting date of death's release, but careless noon the houses lighted late, harvest and holiday the people's peace. Days into years years the doorways worn at still. Years into lives the plans for long increase come true at last for those of God's good will. These are the things we mean by saying peace.
If you didn't look, take a look at hymn number 164, a poem by John A. Holmes, The People's Peace. The fact that we come here and allow ourselves to be more open to other people in our sharing here within our joys and sorrows or out there on the pavilion afterwards, in our conversations, anywhere, in any corner of the congregation, is a testament to the sanctity of this place. Of course, in our Unitarian Universalist tradition, sanctity is not conferred by the place itself or by the institution, but by a gift that we give to one another, a gift from one soul to another. In fact, to be open and aware of one another in all our humanity is to realize that we are not alone and that other people are a necessary part of our survival and our fulfillment. The value, the uniqueness, the depth and breadth of any moment is often the result of a number of perspectives coming together, not all our own. It is said that we are shaped not so much by our own inner workings, but by the people that surround us every day. And so what could be more in the moment than to personally celebrate that community, that greater whole which we are a part? We do, of course, enjoy our solitude. I know I do. But it might well be said that even our aloneness can be defined by who is not there. We enjoy here at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Greater Naples a vibrant community. The love and support that we give to each other in times of joy and especially in times of sorrow is truly phenomenal. There are so many role models here, so many people who give of themselves and who do so in a quiet and unassuming way. And we come together once a week to be reminded of the people we want to be, the people we want to be with. We do so knowing we need each other to fulfill our potential and the potential of us as a congregation. And so we come full circle and celebrate this community that sustains us all.
As we take time to reflect upon the words and the music from this morning, let's show our gratitude with this morning's offering.
While looking at my feet at a crack in the sidewalk, an old tin can by the side of the road, I nearly missed a rainbow, I nearly missed a sunset, I nearly missed a shooting star going by. While studying a brand new hole in my sneaker and finding a quarter and an old bus token, I nearly missed a rainbow, I nearly missed a sunset, I nearly missed a shooting star going by. Look you're going. No head up in the clouds to lead you astray. But you can't ever have any kind of dreams that way. Looking at and beat at the crack in the sidewalk, an old tin can by the side of the road. I nearly missed a rainbow, don't wanna miss a rainbow. I wouldn't miss a shooting star going by, passing me by, going right by, going by.
My husband, Tom, loves to tease me for being a great anticipator. I love to anticipate upcoming events, and it's a big deal to me. So I would like to share with you my anticipation of Sunday, September 10th. It'll be September before you know it, and this will be our water gathering service, which I always look forward to. So maybe you'll want to anticipate, as I am, and think about gathering some water to bring to that service that represents something that's important to you. And now, appropriately, our closing hymn is "Wake Now My Senses."
Words will be on the screen. It's number 298 in the gray hymnal.
Wake now my senses and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of being in all. Keep with the web of creation your vow, giving, receiving as love shows us how. Wake now my reason, reach out to the new. Join with each pilgrim who quests for the true. Honor the beauty and wisdom of time. Suffer thy limit as praise the sublime. Wake now, compassion, give heed to the cry. Voices of suffering fill the wide sky. Take as your neighbor both stranger and friend, praying and striving their hardship to end. Wake now my conscience, with justice thy guide. Brighten my pathway with radiance here. Mingle my calling with all who will share. Work toward a planet transformed by our care.
Look to this day, for it is life, the very life of life. In its brief course lie all the verities and realities of your existence, the bliss of growth, the glory of action, the splendor of beauty. For yesterday is but a dream, and tomorrow is only a vision, but today, well lived, makes every yesterday a dream of happiness, and every tomorrow a vision of hope. Look well, therefore, to this day. Go in peace, go in love, and have a wonderful day. you.